Ubisoft. They once, a long, long time ago, made good games. But now, they're just another sad AAA gaming developer that makes predictable, soulless husks.
I don't keep up with the latest of AAA games or online services.
Same?
I'm not currently playing Call of Duty, I'm not playing League of Legends, I'm not playing Fortnite. There's no hiding it. I am that cliche. And yet, I've played Tom Clancy's X-Defiant. I've played The Crew Motorfest. I've finished Far Cry 6.
Nice.
And I've got dozens more games from this godforsaken company installed. And I'm not the only one. I swear the only game my friend played for a year was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The first game another friend bought for their PS5 was a...
If someone plays Assassin's Creed any game for a year straight, are they really your friend? Or just a maniac in hiding at that point? I mean, I have doubts and questions.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Even SkillUp linked me The Division 2. The way we talk about Ubisoft and the amount we talk about Ubisoft versus how much we engage Ubisoft doesn't make sense.
Not a lot of people honestly talk about Ubisoft. Ubisoft is like Blizzard but worse, you know? Only times people talk about Ubisoft is when Ubisoft does something Ubisoft, aka they do something horrible. Add microtransactions, release the 275th version of Assassin's Creed, and change nothing but somehow manage to make it worse. That's when people talk about Ubisoft at this point. At least for Blizzard, there's hopium and copium. But for Ubisoft, it's like, hey, remember Ubisoft? They had like Watch Dogs. Yeah, remember that disaster? Oh yeah, they had a bunch of other things. Oh, but Far Cry was good. Well, yeah, technically, but remember when it turned to... Yeah, that's Ubisoft. There is no hype around this.
Because it's not just critics, it's not just pros, and it's not just the normies, it's everybody, including me. There is something about this company, one proudly standing alongside the collection of corporations I ignore.
There's definitely something about Ubisoft. The fact that they are literally run by full-blown social justice warriors at this point. They're not just woke. Ubisoft turned completely SJW 5+ years ago at this point. And, well, they have been paying the price ever since, because everything they have released has been, you know, an amalgamation of a monstrosity.
That keep pulling me back in. And I think I finally know why.
Look at this. This is like an old Assassin's Creed, maybe one of even the first, I don't know. But it almost looks better than the current versions of Assassin's Creed. That's how far Ubisoft has, you know, fallen. Because when Ubisoft is in front of a choice, do we hire the person who's actually skilled at a job? Or take the guy who literally for no reason put African American on his resume, even though that's doubtful, and he clearly, right in front of us, in the negotiation room, is doing heroin? Guess who they choose? Yeah, that's Ubisoft.
For a generation of gamers, there isn't a world without Assassin's Creed. Ironically, the franchise's success and influence has made the original's impact rather forgotten. But make no mistake, the original Assassin's Creed was a watershed moment for the gaming industry.
True?
At the time, 7th gen consoles, starting with the Xbox 360, had been on the market for 2 years. And while there were a slew of classics already released, like every generation, the first batch of titles were mostly upscaled Xbox games. And even the ones...
Dude, look at this. Oh my god, this is so good. You don't know what he's saying, but you already know it's forget about it! Oh, beautiful.
And even the ones that weren't, were an extension of them. Almost everything new in Halo 3, from online co-op to equipment, theater, file share, and even Forge mode, were all lifted from Halo 2's cutting room floor. It's a similar story from Modern Warfare, BioShock, and Mass Effect, but not Assassin's.
Wait, what did Mass Effect take from? I thought Mass Effect was a relatively unique thing when it came out. Am I wrong?
Creed. What began in life as a Prince of Persia spin-off for the PS2 evolved into something that looked like nothing else, played like nothing else, sounded like nothing else, that could only be achieved on this next generation of hardware. It was completely uncharted territory for big budget games and its protagonist.
Dude, this was back at a time when technology was so bad that consoles actually could almost compete with PCs. Crazy times.
History, themes, premise, and design. Assassin's Creed overwhelmed E3 because it wasn't just another game, it was a new game. There was no prior reference for its social stealth mechanics, historic open world, fluid wall climbing, and immersive parkour traversal. It was, in a word, bold. So bold that no matter what kind of gamer you were, maybe not even one at all, you noticed Assassin's Creed, and very likely became one of its 8 million customers. A number that isn't much in a
That's a lot back then, though.
post-GTA 5 world, but pre-GTA 4, an all-new IP in one of the busiest and most acclaimed years in gaming's history, outselling everything Ubisoft had done convincingly, was nothing short of astounding.
Makes sense.
How many big-budget games in the past year have not been first-person shooters? You can count them on one hand. When publishers consider that they need to sell over 1 million copies of an Xbox
I mean, the combat was something else, though. Let's look at it again.
shooters, you can count them on one.
Okay, so he kills this guy.
When publishers consider
And then it's this guy. There's no animation, there's no vulnerability, there's no nothing. He's just like,
that they need to sell over 1 million
aha, man. Those were the days.
copies of an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 game to turn a profit, risk is not generally a part of the equation. Shooters are the safe bet these days, and no publisher knows that better than Ubisoft, which is why it's all the more surprising that it went out on a limb with Assassin's Creed, one of the most innovative, imaginative games to be released in years.
The gaming landscape mentioned in old reviews like this is eerily similar to our own, but Assassin's Creed is not. What was once a pillar of the industry in both art and technology has become one of the safest, dumbed-down, milquetoast, and milked franchises in existence.
Hell yeah, brother. What's more milk than this, though? Skyrim? I guess only Skyrim and Assassin's Creed can actually have this absolute paragon of existence.
Yet Valhalla became Ubisoft's first game in the company's history to earn $1 billion.
Oh, didn't they have a lot of microtransactions?
Yes, we all know the main reason why, but
because there were exactly enough black Vikings. Also, I got told Vikings were black. Okay, Asians were black, Vikings were black. What the fuck is this? There's literally no diversity here. This is racist, Ubisoft. Please stop. Fix. I want them to release it. Or maybe they have patched it. I don't know. In any case, that would be hilarious.
yes, we all know the main reason why, but there's still a significant portion of people, ones highly critical of Ubisoft, nevertheless being seduced. So why then trace this allure to the debut? Because the lesson Ubisoft took from Assassin's Creed wasn't its innovation, technology, or unique mechanics, but that word. The mega publisher we know today wasn't built off of license exclusivity or genre dominance, but a massive 5-year development gamble that paid off. Trouble is,
Like a lot of studios, honestly.
unlike EA or Activision's backbone, you can't repeat that. You can't boldly
I'm pretty sure Activision is not repeating any miracles at this point.
push innovation, technology, and unique mechanics every time, let alone in something as appealing as Assassin's Creed.
I mean, you can, you're just not trying. Not trying is not an excuse for saying, oh, it doesn't work. You know, you're just not trying.
However, you can repeat what sold Assassin's Creed to millions of people before they would ever have the chance to play it. The thing that made even non-gamers go, wow, I want to play that. The premise. Even just the game's setting, outside any mention of its usage in the actual game, was something that was almost always mentioned in coverage by major media outlets. The same outlets whose final ratings were not nearly as unified as you'd assume for a game that ascended its publisher to new heights. Reading old reviews, it becomes apparent that the score is based upon whether the game's innovation wowed a critic for its 12-hour runtime, or just won. Ubisoft Montreal's boldness inspired an industry. It also caused a lot of
Well, yeah, now Montreal inspired sadness and poverty.
problems, both for players and the developers, forced to make sacrifices that ended up causing more problems for its players. But for Ubisoft HQ, this changed nothing. They recognized Assassin's Creed the game was sold by Assassin's Creed the premise. So for Assassin's Creed 2, they
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone knows and understands that, right? The premise of the game is really important.
sold a premise that could generate even more excitement. And they haven't looked back since. Turning an open-world shooter into a 10,000 BC survival game. Building a multi-million-dollar PvP arena with swords and shields.
Ooh, For Honor.
PUBG's dominance by taking inspiration from Titanfall.
What is this?
Converting mainstream action-adventure games into a virtual museum of ancient Greece. Having you assassinating, commanding, settling, choosing, fishing, fucking, beating, fighting, riding, rapping, raiding, and assaulting in a Viking game. These are all insane premises. Ones their competitors would never.
I mean, not really insane premises. I feel they're kind of like, blowing this outside of the proportion. These are not insane premises at all, I feel.
Consider, and yet they will put them at the very forefront of its top-level marketing. While everyone else is struggling to innovate or even remotely iterate their games, Ubisoft will come along and take their established franchises in directions that'll make anybody, even non-gamers, go, wow.
Wait, is he speaking like in the past tense here? Because, yeah, no, this is completely not the Ubisoft of current day. Or even current 5 years. Or even current 10 years, honestly, at this point. Sheesh.
I want to play that. Until they do and realize Ubisoft isn't any different than their competitors at all. Selling you the same thing you've played before, only with more bugs, more bloat, more grinding, and more microtransactions.
Hey, the microtransactions are probably the best part of these games, honestly, if you're stupid enough to buy them. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong for enjoying Assassin's Creed, but you're probably wrong for enjoying the 20th Assassin's Creed in a row.
I appreciate Far Cry 6's iterations. The slide mechanic, its unique weapons, expanded customization, brutal animations, new.
Was Far Cry 6 the one where you had Gus Fring be the main villain, or was it the two black girls that were? Far Cry completely just went off the wall and lost itself at some point.
Vehicles and voice protagonist. But none of those things can address busted scripting, obnoxious menus, ham-fisted progression, cynical payments, or the sheer number of fundamentals, from AI to optimization and mission design, that haven't improved since.
Dude, it just hit me. Imagine you have a game where you have a helicopter scene and you're like you need to fly it, and there's like a bunch of ducks and they just all go mystify themselves in the helicopter blades. Bro, that would be insane!
Number of fundamentals, from AI to optimization and mission design, that haven't improved since a game I played as a 14-year-old boy.
Well, yes, because Ubisoft really turned the shit really fast, didn't it?
A game heavily criticized.
It was so goddamn clear that every developer in Ubisoft has just been replaced with activists. And that's completely what destroyed Ubisoft. If Blizzard is like semi-activists and semi-non-activists, then Ubisoft is just flat-out activists. It's crazy. That's why they can't make anything good. That's why all the new all the stuff that they even repeat just gets worse and worse over time, because they don't have talent.
For its repetition, only to have its 13-year-old successor have you loot the same metal, plastic, and gas canisters at every single base. And this is exactly what I mean.
What does that say? Oh, that's
Far
his name.
Cry 6 isn't bad. It's infuriating. Because this game is appealing.
God, this doesn't even look good.
Yara...
It's a thing that you overlook really fast and get accustomed to, but it really strikes me off when you have like a shooter game or something like that where the hand just looks strange.
Is the best map in this franchise. Gorgeous enough to stop me in my tracks, yet varied enough to compile all of Far Cry's backdrops, almost, into a single cohesive world. From the breadth of its soundtrack to the superbly directed cutscenes and majesty of its art style.
Oh, it is with Gus Fring. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, that's Gus Fring. And I'm not sure who that even is supposed to be. Is that your daughter he kidnaps and forces to make meth? I'm not sure.
Cutscenes and majesty of its art style. Even details down to just hearing Danny hum to songs on the radio.
Wait, are you kidding me? You're telling me a helicopter got hit
even
by lightning and it just fell and exploded? Yeah, that's not how helicopters are made. Well, maybe no. Maybe helicopters don't give a shit and they just actually explode. Who knows? But planes get hit by lightning constantly. I'm pretty sure helicopters also have protection because, again, the path of least resistance easily is a helicopter.
Details down to just hearing Danny hum to songs on the radio. I've played soulless games. I've played soulless games by Ubisoft.
Tetris.
This isn't it. But it's also not an overall improvement on the franchise's critical...
Dude, okay? This was Far Cry 3, right? This is what solidified Far Cry as an actual franchise, okay? This, the definition of madness. This. And after this, Ubisoft died.
...commercial peak, nor its predecessor. This backdrop and the awesome premise of being a guerrilla fighter helping to build a revolutionary army against a tyrannical dictatorship...
The moment you Okay, I don't know the story, but I am willing to bet money that you are overthrowing a dictator in the name of communism, okay? Again, because Ubisoft is literally just activism. And this doesn't make a lot of fucking sense, you know why? Because I can bet if I go into this game and I play it, it's like, wait, he's a dictator, but where are the suffering people? Where's the suffrage? Where are the people who want change? Except probably some rando independent woman who don't need no man, who tell you that she needs a man and you need to change things. Except you're probably a woman, I'm assuming, this time around.
Are just as compelling as the franchise's icons. But the additions that convey those things are dirt pathways, weapon holstering, hub stores, baby outposts, and the minigun from Lawbreakers.
The hell is this?
Compared to jammed weapons, immersive HUD, factions, buddies, and yes, malaria, there's a notable difference in how these games realize their premise.
What the fuck is this?
One devotes all effort to placing you inside of it.
Okay, let me actually Google it real quick. Are you a woman in Far Cry 6? Unlike Far Cry 5, which provides full character customization, Far Cry 6 has a fixed lead. Danny Royas. Let's see. I find a football player from Argentina. I make it make sense, but still, which can be male or female. Oh, wow. They actually let you choose. Very not progressive Ubisoft. I'm disappointed.
The other sells it like a theme park. Just like games I've covered previously, these things don't feel like designs that developers dreamed about their whole career to finally realize in a big budget game, but ones that could fit an 18-month deadline. And just like before, that's because it was.
Far Cry 6 was originally designed as a game of service.
Yay!
It was originally designed with like one of the pillars being multiplayer burst.
Obviously.
And then we start to see the market going, ooh, a little bit shaky on the game of service.
Again, this is the problem that every AAA company faces. They don't need hits, they need passive income. And live service games are passive income, as strange as that is to believe. So yeah, it's no wonder they don't take risks anymore. They don't do this, they don't do that, because you're a big company now. You have investors that are gonna sue you if you fuck up too hard. And risks, bad.
And then the scope of Far Cry 6 was huge, and then Far Cry 6 didn't have a creative director to add to it, and they go like, you know what, let's make just a solid Far Cry. And this is why Far Cry 6, for people that play Far Cry 6 and it's their first Far Cry, I think they enjoy it. But people that have been playing the franchise for a long time, they say, oh, it's just another Far Cry.
Yeah.
Talking to Santiago, one of the game's level designers, Far Cry 6 makes a lot more sense. Alternate pathways have been traveled down hundreds of times. Weapon holstering to avoid suspicion would have been suitable to any game in this series. Hub stores don't feel like building a home for revolutionaries, and using pre-made drip-fed weapons don't feel like being a revolutionary. But they approximate the premise just enough to sell it. That's why Far Cry 6 is so infuriating. It's got development artistry, or publisher cynicism. It wants to evolve, but isn't permitted to.
Yeah.
Its originality can appear on a postcard, but not the destination itself. Any boldness in a Ubisoft game today only exists as far as it needs to cover up Ubisoft's bullshit. What is Ubisoft's bullshit?
It itself, I guess?
I can't imagine anybody asking this question. Endless notifications, awful introductions, awful character creation.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess, yes. That's why I don't play Ubisoft games. They have so many predictable problems. And this, by the way, is the best game ever, boys, okay? That's Skull and Bones, right? Beautiful. Beautiful.
Creator. Copy-paste side activities, copy-paste game mechanics.
Yep.
Load screens. Vomiting exposition loads.
I mean, Starfield has you completely destroyed on load screens, okay? Ubisoft load screens aren't even load screens any longer.
Screens. Server connections, server disconnections, bars, 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 bars. Filler.
There is a reason that that it exists, you know. What if Dark Souls was made by Ubisoft? That thing exists, that meme. You know, where it's Dark Souls and your whole screen is just, you know, like you see this much of it and everything's just like some kind of map notification. Do this, be an idiot, and so on and so on. Oh, classic Ubisoft.
Filler. Mind-numbing progression,
Hell
multiple
yeah.
currencies, shit vehicles, obnoxious menus, pointless hub worlds, unskippable messages,
Hell
and
yeah.
of course, I fucking
Microtransactions.
love the POV camera in Riders Republic. Mountain bikes in particular, straight up might be the best sense of speed I've ever felt in a game. And I'm a Burnout fanboy. After so
That's
many
bad.
years of missing out on the genre after Tony Hawk and SSX got left behind, I was excited to play a seamless co-op open-world multi-discipline extreme sports game with a group of friends. Only it never happened. Instead, we're
Whew, thank God.
railroaded through an opening that says, "It's not about me, it's about you." Just to waterboard you with Instagrammers in a hub. Shoving your face with notifications and tutorials telling you how to ride after you've been riding for 10 minutes. And with every notification or voice character won't give you control of the map. And this raises a question. Why do people who otherwise forgo games which are similarly obnoxious put up with it in Ubisoft games if all of them have their
That's a very simple question that I feel that doesn't even need to be answered, but I guess here we go. It's because there are people who play Ubisoft games. Again, you know, there are different kinds of people. There are people who play EA games that the EA publishes. There are people who are really fan of Ubisoft games, Blizzard games, whatever. I shit a lot on Blizzard, but I still play a lot of their games, and I try them, and I hope they're good, and they're usually not. All of us do it, you know? It only... The rise of the indie titles is overblown. The reality is 99.99999% of all indie games are absolute dog shit and dog water. And that's true because there's literally tens of thousands of indie games getting released every year. How many of them do you hear about? None, exactly. Or maybe like one or two standouts. And that's kind of it. Now, admittedly, I think it's a little bit unfair that people don't hear about indie games because it was yesterday I checked. I was thinking about what to play and I thought maybe I should go play Against the Storm. Against the Storm, indie game, sold 1 million copies on Steam. That shit's crazy, yo. Okay, that's an indie game. And you never hear about them. So, maybe it's not fair to say that 99.9% indie games are shit, but you don't hear about them because their biggest appeal even isn't that big in a lot of cases. And, you know, maybe they do one good game, but then they don't do a good second one. So we don't really have a choice. If you like Assassin's Creed, you're probably going to follow what Ubisoft does. We don't have choices when it comes to this. Maybe some new studio comes out of nowhere. Arrowhead, Larion, Grinding Gear Games, or... I forgot the name of Last Epoch studio. Twilight Hour Games or Twilight Games or Hour of Twilight Games? Something like that. Forgot, sorry. You know, maybe that happens, but there's no guarantee that they're going to make a lasting impact with multiple games. So, you know, we don't have any choice. We just follow Blizzard, we just follow Ubisoft, and we hope and pray that it's not shit. Until the point where they release so much bad stuff in a row that we just no longer care and don't even play those games, and then these companies fall apart because they get greedier and greedier because they can't cover up anymore. They can't make the money that they want to make because all of the people that they accumulated as semi-hardcore-ish fans start to leave.
trademark bullshit. And I think there's a simple answer. Bias. I'm drawn to first-person shooters in grounded but stylized worlds with vehicles, customization, multiple playstyles, and satisfying weapons. That's Far Cry, and has been since 2008. Maybe even earlier than that, back when I started.
Makes sense, I guess.
Far Cry is comfort food. Even when I'm wishing it'd do several things differently, I can kick back and fall into the groove of clearing outposts with that baseline premise serving as my hook. But I'm less interested in modern military settings. Not apathetic, they're just not my forte. As a
Makes
result,
sense.
Ghost Recon Post-Future Soldier doesn't really hold my interest. Clue, meanwhile, he makes and hosts custom Arma missions. So he's put a bit of time in a Ghost Recon breakpoint. Because in spite of Ubisoft's bullshit, one can put up with it if the core game is their jam. Which Ghost Recon is for a lot of people, and it makes sense why. Think about it. If you're looking for...
Are we done here? Question mark. I can't honestly feel that we have already talked about everything that kind of makes and doesn't make Ubisoft bad. Huh. Well, I guess it is what it is, boys. That was Reykjavik. 10 out of 10. This was Kuzar Sid saying thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.